Hello from Vegas, and welcome to the Daily Download with Digitas, where today we will be talking about our hot takes and insights for this year's CES show. Since the floor just opened to the public today, we're going to start today out by talking about some CES predictions before we get into actually what we'll see. And today I'm joined by some of the best in the biz. We have Adam Birkenhead, our Chief System Officer at Digitas.
Howdy.
We have Keith Orlowsky, one of our managing directors at Digitas.
Hi, thanks for having me.
And very excitingly, we have Helen Havlak from the Verge.
Most excited.
Most excited.
Most excited to have
Thrilled
Helen
to
here.
hear. Yes. Okay, amazing. So we're going to jump right in. Obviously, we have to talk about AI. We know that that's what the show is going to be about today. It's what it's been about. So we know that in years past, we've seen products and brands really force fit AI into their offerings. So what signals are you looking for at the show this year that tells you that AI is being implemented in a more meaningful way?
I mean, for me, we've seen connected home for like the last, how many years has it been a thing?
Wow.
5 years? More than that?
Matter is going to fix a smart home.
Yeah. And the promise behind that has always been this connected ecosystem, right? But I don't think it's ever come to fruition. We keep saying next year, much like we've been saying with AI, although I think we're on precipice there. So I'm really interested to see if that sort of matches and connects across everything the way that I think expectations are starting to mount towards that.
Yeah.
So I think that'll be interesting.
And Samsung is always a really strong
Yes.
showcase of that. So
Yeah.
it'll
So
be
it's
interesting
like,
to see them.
it's old, but it's new. And it'll
Right.
be interesting to see what the true advancements are and how connected it truly is and how autonomous it sort of is.
I think there's been so much money poured into AI, and it's very costly to run AI. But everyone now needs to prove that they can put it in products, that those products will do useful things for people, and that people will pay money for them. And I think we're going to be really having an eye on the show floor to see if anyone can sell a product using AI.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Maybe if you're not actually talking about the AI, you've done it correctly.
Right.
Because it felt like a lot of people just slapped that label on everything they were doing last year, and you kind of don't want to hear about it anymore.
But it's like a happy medium though, right? It's like you say it, you explain it enough, but not so much that it gets overly techy and you lose the consumer.
Hear me out. Perfect use case in the connected home and an AI thing that does something for you. Samsung's here with a fridge, and you can tell the fridge to close, and it will close.
Yeah.
So if you forgot to close your fridge and it's beeping obnoxiously at you without getting up, you can be like, "Oh, fridge close," and it will do it.
That would have been really helpful to have with my 13-year-old son last night. The fridge was beeping. I asked him to close it. He said 1 second while he's on his phone. I got up, walked across the room, closed it. It turned into an argument.
Yeah.
So there you go. AI would have solved that.
It's like small problems.
Saving some family and No, agree. I think this year show don't tell is kind of the main signal here.
Yeah.
Okay. Amazing. Well, Helen, again, we're very happy to have you here and to get a little bit of a different perspective. Just you coming from the Verge. I think what we're interested in is from a journalist's perspective and what technologies you choose to report on in terms of AI powered products. Which ones are kind of rising above the noise that are, worthy of reporting on, and which ones are kind of falling flat, even if the tech is there, even if the AI capabilities are there? How do you kind of decide what is most important to your audiences?
So The Verge has all of our product reviewers here, which means that they really know the categories they're in. I would say one thing we talk about a lot when we hold a product in our hands and say, is it good, is it not, is does it do a job for someone? Like it's the kind of cliche of Silicon Valley, jobs to be done. And I think that's a good framework for looking at the crazy noise of CS. Now, CS also has things that are just fun and whimsical and bring joy. And so we will definitely cover that stuff.
Like the longevity mirror.
There's a longevity mirror that will tell you if you look older or younger than you should. I'm not sure that will necessarily spark joy for people. But Withings has rebranded its scale also as a longevity solution that will sense things about you. So really, does it do a useful job for someone? And does it do a good job at that? It can be hard at CS. You get prototypes, things that may never be released, or if they will be released, are $10,000 or $20,000. So does it do a good job for you? I think is a good framework for a product review.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts, Adam, Keith?
I mean, I'm still thinking about the fridge thing you were just saying a minute ago. Well, just in the sense, like, I don't even want to discuss it. Just close.
Just close. Let's just close. Or GE also, okay, we're in fridges now.
Yeah.
GE is also here with the fridge. It's not AI, but it has a barcode scanner. So there have been all of these complicated ways to make your grocery list, right? Like talk to it. I don't know. It'll have a camera in your fridge that'll do recognition, and then it'll put it on your Amazon order list. GE just put a scanner. So you just hold the barcode of your empty yogurt up, and it puts that exact thing.
Perfect.
I like that.
Yeah.
Which, like, not AI, but
Right. A
useful.
little more manual. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Doesn't need to be.
Automation.
All right. Let's get a little bit more technical. So, Adam, I'm looking at you.
Yeah.
So we know devices are getting smarter.
Yeah.
They're also getting a little bit more ambient. They're definitely getting more well connected. So in your mind, how does this shift change the way that brands should think about networked experiences?
Yeah.
How should they be developing these technologies to work together versus maybe more siloed consumer experiences?
I think a lot of that comes down to content. Brands have a lot of things to say to their customers about their products, about how they can be used, how they can be used in their lives. I think what they have with those devices and how they're connected is the ability to recontextualize that content in a lot of interesting ways. I think brands have focused a lot on content management. I think it's time to start thinking about context management, because with generative AI, you can essentially just take anything and recontextualize it for that moment, for that user, for that specific experience. And I think it just provides brands with this ability to connect with people in a moment that they just haven't been able to before.
Yeah. Keith, any other thoughts? Obviously, with Digitas, we are the networked experience agency. So should all experiences that brands and products are creating should be networked? Or
I mean, I think you keep hearing, I know we're not supposed to use industry lingo, PESO, paid, earned, shared, owned, and how interconnected content needs to be across those, because it's being seen and understood and scrubbed in many instances by AI.
Yeah.
And so you need to think about it as one holistic piece. And I think some client organizations still have paid and owned somewhat separate, right? And so I think it's going to be a bit of a reckoning in terms of how those organizations are siloed or unsiloed, de-siloed. I don't know how you say that. One of those. And
That wasn't jargon.
and figuring out how you bring that together and think about it as one holistic sort of principled way to come out to the customer or your prospects or whomever. Because I think a lot of times you thought about it very differently in terms of what the owned website experience was versus what they saw on paid social versus what an influencer put out there.
Yeah.
And so I do think you need to think about it as one holistic system. It's not in order and always, ABC. So there's differentiation. But I think that whole notion of personalization is like coming to life in so many more ways.
Yeah.
And I think it's a really interesting time. And I think brands are starting to recognize it. I think you really have to rethink everything when it comes to it. I think this dovetails into something we were going to talk about, which is just that it is all interconnected at this point. And so, if you're rethinking your website because of AEO and GEO, you need to rethink your content, to Adam's point. You're rethinking your content on your website. You got to rethink your paid philosophy. Rethinking your paid philosophy, you should think about how influencers play a role in that. So it's just it's a domino effect.
Yeah.
And so I think if you're trying to fix one thing, it's not going to work, right?
Can't just Band-Aid it.
Yeah, it's probably a plumbing problem that you got to rip up and redo the whole sort of foundation and all the plumbing associated with it.
While that sounds hard, a lot of your content though can work harder.
Absolutely.
Like the same content.
Yeah.
From one centralized place.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And I think there's more automated ways, AI being one of them, but not the only one, in terms of how you serve that content, right?
Yeah. I think from the consumer side, though, it's interesting. People have this maybe competing impulse for more personalization, things more tailored. And then there's also kind of a reckoning about the role of technology. One of the coolest gadgets here this year is the Clicks communicator. And it's a BlackBerry accessory for your phone. So if you don't want to have TikTok and everything else, you just carry this little BlackBerry around. I think it has its own network,
Okay.
but it's peripheral to your it's
Peripheral?
it is peripheral to your main phone,
Yeah.
so you can have a simpler, cleaner experience with less distraction.
Making
So I
Black
think
very relevant again.
I think you, but
I know.
full circle.
Wow.
I think you have this competing side of what people are actually doing with technology, and then maybe a craving for simpler experiences.
Well, and then you have this rejuvenation of brand and how important brand is. And brands, or a CMO might think about it in terms of how their content connects with consumers and how that helps with their AEO or GEO or their website that gets people to it or whatever it might be, or their retail media site. But for consumers, it is about brand love. And so I think that's exciting for me. That brand is something that's being brought back into the equation. I think it's through a bit of a different lens, but I think it's very interesting. We've seen a lot of sort of brand strategy or brand relaunch, whether it's an RFP or an existing client who's asking us to rethink that.
Yeah.
I think AI is top of mind, but I think it's a really interesting way for us to reconnect with the consumer on a more simplistic level, and help brands, stand for something.
Yeah. Great. And we know that Digitas is going to help those brands and our clients do that.
Absolutely.
So I think this is a good way to dovetail into our last question, which is client focus. So looking at you, Keith, here, predominantly, you mentioned AI kind of being that reckoning that clients are going to have to recognize. So we know that it's triggering this larger platform reset, much like when mobile first came on the scene.
Yeah.
So where do you see brands underestimating, how big this shift really is, how much they really need to pay attention and implement this?
I think I waxed poetic on it too much when I piggybacked Adam's answer.
You really did.
I blew it.
Yeah.
But I think it's rewind. It's everything. I think it's everything I said. Maybe not everything I said. But I do think it's just rethinking at a foundational level the content that you're creating, where that content sits, and how you connect with your consumers.
Yeah.
And I think if you don't start at that level, like we're seeing website redesign stuff's coming back in, not for responsive purposes, but because they need to care for AEO and GEO and the re-ranking of websites and things like that. And we're seeing a lot of production stuff come in because there are perceived deficiencies through AI with production. You have to be careful there, obviously. But I think if you think about those two things, it's the mechanics and the design of your website, and it's the production, which is all the content that you have.
Right.
And so I think brands at a foundational level are starting to catch on to that. But I think you do have to think about those two things along with that whole paid and shared own strategy, and how you think about disseminate. Once you sort of recreate the foundation of the content and where it sits, how you disseminate that content.
Yeah.
That's not a new thing. Like I think we've been talking about, intelligent content or personalized content or DCO for dynamic content optimization. So for years, and that's been a thing, but I think it's like, I don't know. I guess there's a finer point that's being put on it now, and AI is behind that.
I think it's impossible to understate how much generative search is changing discovery on the web,
Totally.
right?
Yeah.
The Verge coined Google Zero 3 years ago, and like people are going out of business because discovery is changing.
Yep.
Now, what does the other side of that look like? Okay, we have to figure out new pathways of discovery. So in that change, there's opportunity. And then if you have a loyal audience, that becomes more valuable because in a post-Google world, audience acquisition is kind of all looking like pay to play right now, right?
Yeah.
You have to buy ads from Meta or whoever. You don't get the free Google discovery anymore.
That's right.
Or Reddit, which has been ranking people are going there to get better information than Google. They overtook TikTok and users, right?
Yeah. So now consumers are reviewing your content and they're rating it and that's helping play, that's playing into it. You should be in marketing.
I mark at The Verge. I can subscribe.
Like and subscribe down below. Well, thank you all for being here. Adam, Keith, Helen, that's a wrap on our conversation today.